Welcome to an all-new episode of Cam Girl Diaries Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Gabagool, or Pervert Pete, or Jigga G, whatever you want to call me. For those of you that don't know, I've been on the internet for like 10 years. I've got that fucking silver play button over there, used to be a famous YouTuber or some shit, or semi-famous, or just a tiny bit famous, whatever. So what qualifies me to be the host of Cam Girl Diaries Podcast? Nothing, absolutely nothing. I've been on the internet, I talk to cam girls, share their stories and all that good stuff. That's all that qualifies me. But I love hearing from cam girls and what they do, and you guys seem to like it. So you want to get schooled up, this is the place to be, because apparently no one else is doing it. So if you want to support us on Patreon, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/camgirldiaries, get a little something, little crank. And you can just support the show, because if you follow the show, I'm really inconsistent with this. It's kind of tough to do, scheduling girls, and, with my own fucking mental issues. I'm bipolar, and I got all these fucking, I'm a fucking mess. What can I say? But you can watch the show on YouTube at Cam Girl Diaries, or on your favorite podcasting platform. You can follow us on Instagram at Cam Girl Diaries with a Z. Twitter, I hate Twitter, or what is it, X now or some bullshit, whatever. It's at Cam Girl Podcasts. And of course you have Facebook, but Facebook is the worst. Don't promote on there. Like, you have to do it in such a fucking pussy way. I hate it. I can't stand it. But that's it. Let's get to the fucking show. Today we're gonna listen to a girl from SW Forum. So I assume that's Sex Worker Forum. I can't find the Sex Worker Forum, but sure, it's somewhere. But she's gonna talk today about tip menus. Now, some girls in past episodes have gone into tip menus, not too much. So I figured, tip menus are important, I think. So let's see what this girlie has to say about tip menus. Again, she doesn't give her name. It's just Sex Worker Forum. So I don't know. Let's find out.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about tip menus, specifically on Chaturbate, but this applies for other camming sites also. You can also kind of keep these things in mind if you're creating a tip menu for OnlyFans. I will do a separate video for that, because I've seen a lot of those out there, and they are going to have a little bit of a different strategy, but you can take some of the basics that I'm talking about here and apply it to that as well. First of all, what is a tip menu? It's basically a list of things that you will do on camera and how many tokens the person needs to tip you for you to do that task. A certain number of spanks, certain number of minutes to add to a naked timer, things like this are kind of...
Oh, I never thought about that. You can make your tip menu like, all right, one spank is like 20 tokens, but if you want like 5, yeah, that's like 60 or some shit. I don't know. I guess that's a good idea.
The basics of how it goes, but it can get a lot more elaborate, and it can be a really long list of things if you want to. The purpose of a tip menu is really to increase interaction and to make it more clear what your offerings are for people that come into your room that don't necessarily know how much you charge for something. It's an easy list for them to be able to see some basics of what they can get if they want to tip you for something. If someone puts a message into a tip note, do not read it out loud. Most of the time when they're doing this, they want it to be private and just sent to you, so you can answer this subtly if they have a question in it, or if they're okay with you answering publicly, that's fine. But most of the time, keep in mind that a tip note is meant to be just for your eyes. So,
ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like, you get a tip note and they say something, like you're on Chaturbate or something, you get like a fucking tip note, and they're like, yeah, I want you to call me boom boom kitty fuck and stick your finger in my asshole. I guess it's not good to fucking blurt that onto camera or anything. Like, oh, I want you to call me, I want to call you mommy and you call me sonny boy or some shit. Like, yeah, that I wouldn't want that in the chat. Yeah, so that's a good point.
don't read it out loud.
No.
Like I mentioned earlier, there are certain things you can put on your tip menu. This can be flashes, that can be take a sip of your drink, it can be do squats, it can be get naked for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want to set as that. Hula hooping, handstands, whatever you want to do.
What the hell? Why is she edited that fucked up? I'm not great at editing, but you cut that off a little too quick, girly. But yeah, hula hooping, if you're good at hula hooping, I see some fucking crazy girls that can fucking hook up hula hooping like crazy on YouTube. So yeah, if you can hula hoop, that's something you definitely want to do. Or anything that you're fucking like, most people don't do, like hula hooping. Not a lot of people can do that, right? Like your tip menu, I don't know, man. You gotta fucking, like, if you can hook up some shit that not a lot of girls do, that'd be the fucking thing to do for your tip menu and focus on that,
Make sure that if you put something on your tip menu, you will do it every time it is tipped for. If you put something on there and someone tips for it and you don't do it, that is a very fast way for people to not want to come into your room and not want to tip you because they don't know if you're actually going to do what they're asking. On the other side of
Who would do that though? Like if you're gonna put it on your tip, yeah, isn't that common sense? Like if you're gonna put it on your tip menu, you better fucking do it. Like what the fuck? Any girl that puts shit on their tip menu and they're not willing to do it, or they make it a big deal, like, I really don't want to do that, but okay. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're never gonna be successful if you do that. The fuck? Yeah, don't. Oh,
of this, if you have something on your tip menu like a specific flash or squats or naked time, don't do these things for free. They're not going to ever tip for it because they're just going to wait for you to do it for free on your own. Pricing wise, there are a few different things you can do. Certain things that are really easy to do and don't necessarily require nudity are good to keep at a little bit of a lower price because then they can keep you interacting with your users and your viewers. This can make your room a lot more fun for someone to come hang out and watch. One of the things that I put really low on the pricing side is just cheersing and taking a sip of my drink. I drink beer on camera, not a lot of people do, but if it was just a sip of wine or whatever cocktail you have, if you have something like that, putting that as a low amount is something they can just tip for to have you do something in return. If there's
I guess. I mean, Stuttering John does it for free. He's like, school! He fucking gets all tanked up. He does that for free. He doesn't fucking... Nobody fucking gives him a super chat for that. But that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I guess that's cool. I don't know. I don't like that. Just, I don't know. I mean, hey, shit, it can't hurt to try. Can't hurt to try a lot of things. Like, like if you're just putting together a tip menu and like you don't even know what to fucking put on there, like just put, like she's saying, just put that shit and see what happens. And like if people aren't, like, after a week or 2 weeks, like people aren't doing certain tips, take them fucking tips out of your tip menu and try new things, like that's how you figure out what works and what doesn't, and also if you could like figure out like things that like not a lot of people do, like like some kind of fucking game, like I know Cam Girl Luscious Leisha, who sometimes hosts on this show, she'll say she does what do you call that, like game shows and shit. Like if you put like a game show on your tip menu, like Price is Right game shows, like Plinko, but dirty Plinko, that might be something.
There's anything that you want to put on your tip menu because it gets requested a lot, but you don't really enjoy doing it, just make it a little more expensive than you would otherwise. There are certain things that I know people will tip for, but I don't necessarily want to do them. Then I get a little bit more motivation for something that I don't necessarily want to do.
Or if there's something that you really don't want to do, but you are willing to do it, just set that fucking price high. It's not, and if nobody tips you, oh well, but maybe you get that one tip, it's fucking whatever. I don't know the currency or whatever, but like fucking $70 to fucking show your butthole, and you really don't want to show your butthole, but to you, $70 is worth it, or fucking $170, that's worth it to you. Then do that, right? I mean, it can't hurt to try. That's the theme of today, is it can't hurt to try.
If you are setting something at too low of a price, that can also give off the impression that it's not actually worth tipping for. If you're doing a flash and it's a super low price, you might be trying to tell them that you love doing that flash and you just want it to be available really easily for everyone, but it comes off as you aren't worth tipping a lot for, so they don't actually end up wanting to tip for it.
That's something I never thought about. Yeah, I never thought about that. Like, I've never really analyzed anyone's tip menu, but I never looked at a tip menu and said, oh yeah, that's not worth it, or I don't know. That's weird. So, I mean, it's weird to me. But I'm sure it makes sense.
If you are setting something at too low of a price, that can also give off the impression that it's not actually worth tipping for. If you're doing a flash and it's a super low price, you might be trying to tell them that you love doing that flash and you just want it to be available really easily for everyone, but it comes off as you aren't worth tipping a lot for, so they don't actually end up wanting to tip for it. While I'm talking about flashes specifically, price out your flashes to be worth at least 30 to 60 seconds of your time. I have talked to a lot of my fans about this, and if they ever tip for a flash and it's only a couple seconds, they're not going to want to do it again. Another thing that is good about...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like, where you just go, whoop, and that's it. Like, you gotta fucking bust that beat, like, bow, 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 fucking do some punching bags or some shit. You gotta do something. Yeah, I mean, fuck. Yeah, do a second. Yeah, that's not... Even the worst fucking chatterbaiters I've ever seen, Danny Mona, which I forget what episode number it is. It's fucking... The absolute worst fucking Chaturbate show I've ever seen in my life, and the funniest. But at least when they did their tip menu, people would tip them the certain things. Like, I said, at least, like, for flashing, I remember Danny Mona, one of, I guess, the old lady or whatever, like, they would tip her to flash, and she would, like, literally pull her shit up and just stand there, literally stand there for, like, a minute. So at least she was giving them a good amount of flash for a minute, but, like, she just stood there and did absolutely nothing. So, I mean, there's that balance, too. If you're going to show shit for a minute, like, don't just stand there with your fucking shirt up like Danny Mona did. You gotta fucking, I don't know, fucking move around, fucking flap them shits or whatever. Bow, 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 whatever. You know, don't just stand there doing nothing.
Doing flashes for a little bit longer. If your flash lasts for 30 to 60 seconds, that thumbnail on the front pages when people are scrolling through the different people online, even if by the time they get to your room, you don't have that body part showing, they will see it in the thumbnail because you gave it enough time to update that thumbnail.
That is a great fucking point. That's a great point, especially for Chaturbate. I don't know about any other sites, but Chaturbate, like, if people see you fucking, like, you're doing shit on a thumbnail, they're definitely gonna click. Because you see, like, if you go through Chaturbate, you'll see, like, you know, like, just girls, like, just sitting there doing nothing. And, you know, who's gonna click on that shit? I don't want to see some girl just sitting there doing nothing. You know, like, show some shit. Like, you know, like, I've seen that too. Like, you fucking, like, some shit, like, she's doing something crazy and shit, and, like, you click on it, and, like, you know, then she's just sitting there again, but you're like, oh shit, she was doing something crazy just a minute ago. What the fuck's gonna happen, right? So, great point.
If you find that you need to change the prices, try to get a good idea of all of the changes you need to make and do it all at the same time. Doing a lot of changes very frequently will kind of give the impression that you're never going to stop changing and someone just won't know what to expect the next time they come into your room. So if you're going to do any changes, make sure you do them all at once and not super frequently so that your regulars can be consistently knowing what they're going to get and how much they have to pay for something when they're coming into your room. I'm going to put a list right here of the things that I put in my tip menu. I have a pretty long list because I like having a lot of options for whoever comes into my room.
All right, let's take a look at her list. For those that are listening, she has cum tax. I don't know what a cum tax is, but that sounds interesting. Cheers a drink, like she said. Feet flash. Yuck, but, you know, people are into feet. Twerk dance. That makes sense. Spanx. Squats. Okay. Song request. I mean, if people tip for that, yeah, definitely. That's fucking easy, right? Put on heels. That's a good one. That's easy. Stand, walk around. Who the fuck's gonna tip for that? I don't know. Maybe some people like that shit. Booty flash. Boob flash. Both make sense. Nipple clamps. Okay, there you go. Vag flash. Definitely. Doggy flash. Definitely. Put on handcuffs. Okay. Lotion oil. Makes sense. Ice on nipples. Okay. Naked. Definitely makes sense. Take a shot. Okay. Snapchat. Instacum. What's an Instacum? I would love to know what that is. Come deny / save. All right. Yeah. I mean, those all seem like your standard things. You know, definitely try all of them. But I would also say, like, try to throw in some shit that, you know, not a lot of other girls are doing, like a fucking, like, you know, some dirty game show or some kind of fucking, some kind of game or something, you know, to keep people going. I don't know. That's just me.
Every single stream I do is going to be different because one night everyone could want to do Spanx. The next night everyone could want to see me do a ton of squats. I really don't know, and it's up to them, which keeps it a little bit more fun. When you're thinking of things to put on your tip menu, think about the amount of distraction it takes away from your chat room for certain items. If it's something like requesting a song, you having to go on your phone and look up that song to add to the playlist, that takes your eyes off of the chat room and onto something else. That little bit of distraction can be enough to scare some of your viewers away because you're not interacting with them. So keep these things in mind. Anything that requires me to leave the room, it's going to cost more. I will lose viewers because I will be gone away from the screen, or I won't be looking at the chat directly and being able to answer questions.
That is a great point. Excellent point, because you see a lot of girls on Chaturbate especially where like they're not even paying attention to the chat, and they got like fucking 5 people in the room. Like, no shit, you have 5 people in the room. You're not paying attention to the chat. They're fucking like looking at their phone. They're fucking fiddling with some bullshit. You know, you have to pay attention to your fucking chat. Absolutely.
People will get bored very quickly. They're probably gonna leave. And not everyone will, but some people will, and your idea is really to keep your viewers engaged. The more you keep viewers, the more viewers you will get, and then you keep more of those, and then it's just a cycle. You'll get more and more viewers as the days go by because people want to stay and hang out with you because they know you're going to be engaged the whole time. So those are just a few of my tips for the tip menu. If you want to see specifics on anything that I haven't included in what I offer and some of the different pricing strategies that I have provided for you guys in this video, please comment below. I am more than happy to make another video. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. That's where I post some polls so you guys can help me figure out what videos to make next. All of that kind of stuff. Feel free to reach out to me on any platform, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See you next time.
All right, that was pretty good. All right, so yeah, if you want to follow her on Twitter, it's at SW_forum. Go check her out and see what she has. I definitely want to talk to more girls about their tip menus, because I mean, everyone does their tip menu. Well, I mean, I guess a lot of people do their tip menu the same and all that stuff, but I'd be curious to hear what other girls have to say about their tip menus. Yeah, if you guys want to, you know, discuss the tip menu, your tip menu, or you have any questions, leave it in the comments on YouTube or your favorite podcasting platform. Of course, you can hit us up on Instagram at Cam Girl Diaries, Twitter at Cam Girl Podcasts. Fuck Facebook. I hate Facebook. But yeah, if you have any questions and you want to ask other girls what they think about their tip menus and whatnot, you know, let us know and we'll ask them questions and shit. I guess the next girl that I interview will deep dive into her tip menu. Or I'll find someone that really wants to talk about their tip menu and like just make the whole episode about their tip menu, because I'm interested in the tip menus and shit, like how they work for some girls, because I see like on Chaturbate especially, like even the successful ones, not all of them have tip menus. So why is that? They're successful. I see some girls, you know, over 100,000 followers and shit, and they don't have a tip menu. Why? What, you know, clearly they're successful without a tip menu. And then you see some, you know, same 6-figure followers and they have like an elaborate tip menu. Some have simple tip menus. So I want to deep dive more into this tip menu shit. So we'll definitely be doing another episode on tip menus. I just wanted to like just get my dick wet on tip menus and shit. So hopefully this gave you a little insight. I guess this is just like the basics of tip menus and shit, which, you know, if you don't know what to do, you gotta start somewhere. So I guess this was a good start. So again, if you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Cam Girl Diaries. Follow us on YouTube or any of your favorite podcasting platforms. If you want to be a guest on the show, links are in all the descriptions, all the way at the bottom, I think. Yeah, and fucking hit us up. We'll have you on the show. And thanks for listening or watching, whatever the fuck you're doing over there. And I'll see you next time. Sookie sookie.